So we'll start with it and then we'll continue in next class. Instead of wasting time, we'll save it. Okay, so uh, we covered inventory, long-lived assets, income taxes, and now we are moving on to non-current liabilities, which are also known as long-term liabilities. So within long-term liabilities, some of the key types of liabilities are bonds, payable. If a company has issued bonds, if a company issues bond, that is a borrowing which it makes. So it is like borrowing debt or borrowing money, which has to be returned in future. That is a liability, long-term liability. Or leases. So for example, buying something on lease. Within leases, we have finance lease and operating lease. Or pension funds. So when, or pension liability. So when a company has a number of retirees, or when a company offers benefits to its retirees or post employment benefits, then those post employment benefits are to be paid in future, and those are liability. So again, post employment benefits or pension liabilities. These are three key types of non-current liabilities. There are many others as well, but these are the three key types and the focus of this reading. When we talk about bond, when a company issues bond, it issues it at a price, and that price is actually the borrowing or the loan that company is taking. Let's say that the price is $90. Then it has to pay a periodic interest on this borrowing. So this $90 is the borrowed amount. It has to pay some interest, which is coupon, in form of coupon payment. That coupon, let's say, is $5, which is paid periodically, and this is interest. And then bond has some face value, which is the value which the company has to return in future. So if a company issued bond today, then after the maturity of the bond, let's say it is 5 years, after 5 years, the bond buyer will return the bond and get back the money from company, and company will pay what value? Company will pay future value, which is 100. Any problem so far? If this price is lower than future value, the bond is said to be offered as discount. Discount, a bond being trading at discount means that price is less than future value. If price is equal to future value, that means bond is trading at par. If price is greater than future value, that means bond is issued at premium. So it can either be issued at discount, at par, or at premium. Any confusion so far? If bond has been issued at discount, let's say at $90, but its face value is $100, that means after maturity or after 5 years, company will have to return $100. But today company has recorded only $90 on its balance sheet. So that means over the period of 5 years, this 90 should be increased to 100. How we increase it? That will come in later. For now, just remember that this 90 will be increased over this 5 years to $100. On the other hand, if borrowed amount is, let's say, 120, that it was issued at premium, and in future face value is 100. So that means today company has borrowed 120, but in future it will only return 100. So till it reaches the time or till it reaches the expiration, or in these 5 years up till expiration, the borrowed amount should be reduced to 100. How it is reduced or how the accounting is done, that will come in. That will come in later. Any problem so far? How do you measure the price of the bond or present value? So simply, if this is, for example, there is a question. Company issues 1 million pounds worth of 5-year bonds when the market interest rate on bond is 5% per annum. The bond pays 5% interest annually. What are the sales proceeds? Sales proceed means the price, and price means the present value. So future value is face value. You have this future value. Interest rate in market is 5%. Coupon payment is again 5%. And if coupon is 5%, how much would the payment be? 5% of face value. So 5% of 1 million. Number of years is 5. And if you plug in this information in your calculator and compute PV, PV will come out to be 1 million, which is the price of the bond. Any confusion so far? Why is this same as future value? Because coupon rate is same as interest rate. If coupon rate is greater than market interest rate, that means bond is offering a higher return. Or if bond is offering a higher return, it should be issued at premium. On the other hand, if coupon rate is less than market rate, that means bond is providing a lower return compared to market. So it should be offered at discount. If these two are equal, as in this case, present value will come out to be same as face value. Any problem so far? Okay, so now let's do this second example. It says that company issues 1 million pound of worth 5-year bonds when the market interest rate on bond is 6%. So interest rate 6%, face value 1 million, coupon rate 5% of 1 million. What are the sales proceeds? Now if you calculate present value using same data set, only you change interest rate from 5 to 6%, and now if you calculate present value will come out to be 957,876. This is the price of the bond. Any confusion? So what will be the transaction? Transaction is that company will issue bond and bond buyer will pay cash to company. How much cash? 957,876. What will be the accounting entry for company? So company received cash 957,876, and this cash is against the loan which the company has taken. So long-term loan, credit. So on balance sheet it will record cash and loan. Any problem so far? So on balance sheet it will have 957,876. How much? What is the amount which company has to return in future after 5 years? Company has to return 1 million after 5 years. That means over a period, you are currently at time 0. Till the time you reach end of 5th year, you should have accumulated 1 million. That means this value should increase to 1 million. That means every year you should add something to it to reach to 1 million. Any confusion so far? What is this amount which you are adding? So this is the discount which you receive, and a part of this discount will be added every year to reach the 1 million. Now the question is that how do you add it? What amount should be added every year? So then there can be two methods to add it. One is straight line amortization, and other is effective interest rate method. What is a straight line method? Straight line method says that take the difference and divide it evenly over the period of 5 years. So if I take the difference and divide it evenly over these years and add that amount every year, that is known as straight line method. So that will simply be discount divided by life of the bond, which is 5 year, and I will amortize it each year with the same amount. That is known as a straight line method. Any confusion so far? Effective interest rate method is different. And what is the difference? So let's continue with this example. You have 957,876 and you know the bond pays 5% interest annually. It means coupon payment which you have to pay, interest payment is 50,000. 1%, 5% of face value. Remember, interest payment or coupon payment is calculated as a percentage of face value, not the price. So how will you record it? So under effective interest rate method, you start with 957,876. This is carrying amount at the beginning of year. Interest expense at effective interest rate. So what is the interest rate in market? 6%. Interest rate in market is 6%. So you will record interest rate at 6%. In your P&L, you will record interest at 6%, which is the market rate and not the rate which you are paying. This is the rate which you are paying, but for recording purposes, you should record it at the rate which is there in the market. So you take 6% of this amount, which is your loan, and 6% of your loan is 57,473. This is the interest payment which you will, interest expense which you will record. Any confusion so far? From this interest expense, a component is for interest payment which you are making, which is this 5% of premium, right? This is coupon. It will remain the same every year because it is fixed percentage of face value. This remaining amount is amortization of discount. So you add this amount to carrying amount. So you calculate total interest expense. Total interest expense would be, so what will be the entry? Entry is P&L debit by interest expense. P&L, or you call it interest expense. It debited by 57,473. What should you credit? You have paid cash of 50,000. So cash credited by 50,000. Where is the rest of it going? Rest of it is going to loan amortization. So you credit loan by 7473. Loan being credited means that loan is increasing and you have to increase it to reach 100 million. So you add it to 957,876, it becomes 965,349. Now this is your starting point. Next year you apply 6% of interest on it, it becomes 57,921. From this 57,921, 50,000 is payment, remaining is amortization. You add it to initial balance and you arrive at ending balance. Again next year same, and it continues. By the time you reach last year, you again apply 6% on beginning balance. It is your P&L expense. From this P&L expense, 50,000 paid in cash. 9,434 is amortized discount. This plus carrying amount at beginning becomes 1 million. So by the time you reach the end, you will have 1 million on your balance sheet. Now at this date, you will remove loan from balance sheet. You will debit loan by 1 million and you will credit cash by 1 million. Had you not discounted it, your balance sheet would have remained imbalanced. Why? Unbalanced. Why? Because at the end of 5th year, you would have paid 1 million in cash, but you wouldn't have had enough loan on your balance sheet to be removed. So for that reason, you need to amortize it and take it to 1 million. Any confusion so far? On the other hand, there can be a case in which it is issued at premium. If it is issued at premium, this will be a higher amount, let's say 1.1 million. In that case, everything will remain be the same. Only difference is this amortization discount will be subtracted from here, and it will keep on being subtracted, and at the end you will reach 1 million again. Why? Because it will come in as a negative number. This interest expense will be lower and it will come in negative and you will amortize it. So this 50,000 represents cash. This represents market rate into beginning balance represents expense. Difference is amortization. This is added or subtracted with carrying amount at start to reach at carrying amount at end. Any problem so far? And if you are using a straight line method, what will you do? In a straight line method, simply you take the difference of this and face value. And the difference, whatever the difference comes out to be, that comes out to be 4 to 1 to 4. You divide it equally over the period of 5 years. So over the period of 5 years, it becomes 8424.8. So every year, amortization will be 8424.8. So this all will be 8424.8. Consistent. This whole consistent 50,000, and this whole will be consistent at 5824.8. Any problem so far? A key point to note is with respect to difference in IFRS and US GAAP, and that is when you issue a bond, there are some issuance costs. There are some costs. For example, you pay something to investment bank, you pay some fees and all that. There are some issuance costs. So IFRS says that loan payable is recorded as sales proceeds net of issuance costs. For example, if you are taking $1,000 of loan, and from that $1,000, let's say $10 is your issuance cost, then on your balance sheet you will record loan as $990. US GAAP says that it should be recorded separately. US GAAP says you record loan as 1,000 and record this issuance cost as an asset on balance sheet, and then amortize this issuance cost separately instead of netting it off against loan. This is the difference in treatment, that it is recorded as an asset and then amortized in US GAAP. In IFRS, it is just adjusted in the loan amount. So just 3 questions before we end. A company issues 1 million euro of bonds face value. When the bonds are issued, company will record us. So when you issue a bond, you are borrowing money. So when you are borrowing money, it is a cash inflow from financing activity. At the time of issue, 4.5% coupon bonds, effective interest rate is 5%. Market rate is 5%. Bond is paying a lower return. If bond is paying a lower return, it should be issued at discount. Oil Exploration LLC paid 45,000 in printing, legal fees, commissions and other costs associated with recent bond issue. It is most likely to record these costs on its financial statements as, so it has paid this amount as issuance cost. Under IFRS, it should be netted off against loan. As an asset under US GAAP, yes. The reduction of carrying value of the debt under IFRS, yes. So B, D and A. This is it. So let's stop here. We will continue in next class.